Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we speak treason fluently, because this week we watched The Awakening.
Written by Eric Pringle.
Directed by Michael Owen Morris.
And in January of 1984. I mean, I guess when you think about it, Pringle is just a last name, because it's like Pringles. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, but it's still funny.
Do they have the apostrophe on the packaging for Pringles?
Don't ask me.
Now I'm curious, is it like Pringles chips, as in like possessive, or is it just these are Pringles?
You're eating a Pringle every time you eat Pringles. I don't know.
I mean, isn't that what like people say, like, hey, can I have a Pringle? And they're like,
yeah, that's what they're called, Pringles.
But are they like Pringles, as in like each chip is a Pringle, or is it Pringles because it's like
know.
they're Pringles chips?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just go and check that out off recording.
Off camera, no.
Well, we're not on camera. This isn't a video episode. We haven't done one of them for ages.
Yeah, but we're still gonna do it. We're gonna check off camera.
Yes, I guess you're right. I feel like we should just start by mentioning that Chameleon hasn't shown up since King's Demons, because we forgot to mention it last week.
We've forgotten to mention it for like a couple weeks, and they've forgotten to have him be a part of the show since he first got introduced.
Apparently they filmed a scene with Chameleon and Tegan in the TARDIS for this serial, but then they cut it because it was running too long. So they instead opted to just not mention Chameleon.
When will Chameleon get his time in the sun?
It's even better because they considered making Will from this serial a companion, but then John Nathan Turner was like, nah, I don't want to get bored of Will. We better not make him a companion.
Yeah, honestly, I thought Will might be a new companion. And
then you
my
realize
first
they
thought
have
was like, wait a
Chameleon.
minute, what about Chameleon? My second thought was, he'd probably be the next Adric.
Yeah, but I want to see more Chameleon.
Yeah, same. This is probably the worst production mistake or thing of that nature that they've done so far. Maybe, but I somehow doubt it, especially since they were going to include him here and they cut it.
So, anyway, I just didn't pay attention to episode 1, so...
Yeah, honestly, this serial kind of sucked. Large, sweaty
boring.
donkey testicles.
It was boring.
Yeah, it was boring. It was
I like
very
the
boring.
concepts, though. I got really into the concept in episode 2, but I was like, pity the execution is so awful.
Yeah, they only killed like 3 people. No, I'm just kidding.
The execution, I get it.
Anyway, no, actually coming out of this serial, my first thought was like, they probably could have done this well if it had been a 4-episode serial.
Yeah, it probably would have actually been better than what it is, and I don't think we say that very often, that we want the serial to be longer.
Yeah, but here there were a lot of, I guess, plot points they tried to bring together, but I don't think they had enough time to really make any of them very interesting.
They rushed through all of them.
Yeah, so I came away from this episode not really understanding much that happened.
It's, how does the phrase go? It's a mile wide and an inch deep, or whatever.
Never heard that before in my life.
I hear it a lot for some reason.
A mile wide and an inch deep?
Yeah. Or like...
All right.
I think you would use it to like, that guy's knowledge is a mile wide and an inch deep. So he knows like a little about a lot of things, but he doesn't know like a lot about anything.
Oh, so he's a jack of all trades.
But master
and a
of none.
master of all. Just kidding.
Better than a master of one.
Anyway, we should probably talk about the serial.
Or try to.
Yeah. So episode 1 begins with them going to visit Tegan's grandfather. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. They're going to visit Tegan's grandpa. He'll probably be a large part of this serial and a really cool character.
Well, he was a large part of this serial, sort of. He like instigated the plot behind the scenes before the serial started.
Pretty much, but then like, yeah. He kind of didn't show up.
He didn't turn out. So... Well, Turlo's also fixing something in the TARDIS, and the Doc's like, does it work? And he's like, well, I don't know. So they like flip the switch and they shake around a bit, and they land, and they're like, well, looks like we landed correctly. And they like look on the visualizer, and they're wearing like 16th century clothes outside, and he's like, well, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, because we also get glimpses of this small town where You think it's like the Middle Ages or like the Renaissance or something.
Well, they like give away the twist super early in the serial because there's the one lady who just doesn't want to participate in the war games.
Yeah, she's just like, I'm not going to participate in any of this play acting 16th century nonsense that you guys are pretending to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, should have probably revealed that like maybe at the end of episode 1.
Yeah, made that the cliffhanger instead of the Doctor like rushing through a rubble wall.
Yeah, that would have been kind of like... yeah, exactly. Well, that would have been kind of like Enlightenment, I guess, which was pretty neat. So they could have done it again here. And they didn't, so... Instead, it was the malice.
Not spelt how you think it would be spelt.
What?
Well, I think it would be like spelt like M-A-L-I-C-E.
Yeah.
It's spelt M-A-L-U-S.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Kind of like, well, I'm not going to discuss that, but, yeah. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think so. So they all just, well, they like come out of the...
They're captive for like 15 minutes and they're just discussing what's going on.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a way to explain that made it sound exciting, but I mean, there isn't really a way to do that, so...
Well, it does get, maybe I'm giving it too much credit, but it gets kind of exciting because there's like some dissenters and some people want to go full 16th century law, and they're going to have this like May Day celebration or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, Hutchinson, or Sir George, I wasn't really clear because I think they called him by both in the serial. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's Sir George Hutchinson.
Yeah, I guess it's probably what it is. And he was like, I didn't really know anyone's names in this serial, but he was like he had stepped in as like the Lord or like the boss or something.
The magistrate. There's this part where the lady's like, you can't make me. That's illegal. And he's like, well, as the magistrate, I'll find myself innocent. I was like, that's not how that works.
Yeah, I just liked how most of this entire town just decided to go, just to ignore modern society and laws and just, yeah. I mean, I wonder how they came up with this.
Yeah, maybe the warlords from the serial, the war games, are getting involved again.
Yeah, this just felt like a poor man's war games, to be honest.
Well, the working title for the serial was War Game. No, just War Game, without the S.
Yeah, because it was just a small slice of the games. That would be like the Olympic game, and it's just one event.
Well, what they could have done, if they'd made this a 4-episode serial, they could have revealed that this was one of the areas from the war games that the Doctor like accidentally stumbled into.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That would have been a cool twist. He like accidentally stumbled into something that he fixed in the past. I don't know.
Kind of like a Face of Evil.
Yeah. Except this time it would have been worse. Like, we would have seen the serial beforehand, so we would have been like, oh, that's a cool throwback. Yeah. Also, it would have worked more for last season when they were trying to do all those throwbacks. So, Tegan gets upset that someone steals her purse or her bag or whatever, I think. I actually like stopped paying attention for like 2 minutes and I missed it. So I went and read the wiki and it was like, someone steals her purse. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I don't remember that. I thought she got mad because they were talking about the Queen of the May. And they're like, hey, if you don't shut your trap, we're going to crown you Queen of the May. And she's like, oh, heck no.
See, I thought she got mad because the Doctor was like, we can't see your grandfather right now, kind of because we're trapped and we're being held at sword point. And she's like, screw this.
I don't remember that. I don't remember most of episode 1 or 2. I just remember at some point there's like this guy in a robe like snooping around. And the Doctor's like, who's that guy in a robe snooping around? And it's the monk. No, it's not.
Also would have been more interesting than what it was. It was just a mental projection.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Tegan like runs into a barn and she gets trapped and the door gets locked. She's like, let me out.
Also would have been a throwback better suited for last season for the Silurians. Remember, because of the barn and the Silurians. And in, whatever it was called, with the pteroleptals.
Oh. The pteroleptals get name dropped in the serial.
They did, and I thought like they were going to reveal that the pteroleptals were behind it all.
Nope. So this mental projection shows up to Tegan, and then she gets really scared because it's like just a head, and it's just a body, and then it's just a head. And then Turlo busts in, and he's like, what's going on?
And then the Doctor escapes somehow. I don't remember how, but he does.
Oh, he just whoop-de-wops him.
also would have been better suited for last season.
We didn't mention last week in Warriors of the Deep when the Doctor just brutally beats up a couple dudes.
I don't remember that.
It's like right at the end of episode 1 before he falls into the water. He's like, whoops, and like punches the guy in the face. And then he like falls back, like, whoops, and elbows the other guy in the chest. It's a good scene. He's breaking out that Venusian Aikido that he learned. Well, the Doctor like gets this breaks the scientist lady out, and they like go and investigate the church, I guess. And Turlo gets thrown in prison with Tegan's grandfather, and I don't know what happens to Tegan. Oh, she gets captured by Hutchinson. He's like, I'm gonna make you Queen of the May.
Yeah. So, I mean, what is that celebration anyway? They just like kill her at the end. They burn
her
her
at the stake. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I got that it was something bad because she's like, no, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, the Doctor and what's-her-face are in the church, and all of a sudden this really crappy-looking brick wall falls down, and it's the Malice.
The Malice looks like, did you ever watch that show on Nickelodeon, like Legends of the Hidden Temple?
No. Well, I think I know what that is.
Yeah,
it's like where they have to go through this hidden temple thing.
Yeah,
right?
the like obstacle course thing, yeah.
And like they don't really show the obstacles. They just kind of like come out of the temple. And they're like, we did it. And like, I'm just like, how do I know you didn't just run around for 5 minutes back there? Backstage.
There's this giant talking head on that show that the Malice reminded me of.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I'm not sure if they show the obstacles, but
I can't remember because I used to watch it when I was like 7, so.
Yeah, well. Just looks like a giant frog, kind of.
Giant frog head.
I don't know.
Without a body. Like. It was just sticking through the wall.
Yeah.
It was like, what's up, homeboys? He's like the Kool-Aid Man. Oh, yeah. He just busts down the wall. And the Doctor's like, oh, no. That's how episode 1 ends.
Yeah.
The wall's falling and the Doctor's like, no.
Yeah.
And then episode 2, he's like, well, I'm okay. This Malice thing is like probably feeding on all your psychic energy, so we should like stop these war games.
Yep.
See, this
it was like feeding on their energy, but it was also like controlling them.
It was a few of them. And it was projecting the psychic projections.
Yeah, I didn't know. See, they like didn't really
explain it very well.
Didn't really explain it too well.
Well, I liked this concept because the Doctor was like, oh, it's recreating this battle because it'll lead to more psychic energy so the Malice can like wipe out the planet or whatever. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. It's like recreating historic battle by like convincing everyone to recreate it. It's like, that's pretty cool.
But
it sucks that the execution was so bad, yeah. And the Doctor's method of stopping it was to just tell everyone that it's like dumb to kill people. They're gonna burn Tegan at the stake, and then the Doctor talks to the guard guy, and he's like, "Do you really think it's a good idea to burn an actual living, breathing human being for your war games?"
And this was the guy who like kind of wasn't on board for the whole thing. Like he thought it was fun, but he didn't want to like go all the way with it.
Yeah.
And then he's convinced by the Doctor to switch sides.
And then Turlo busts out with Tegan's grandfather. He's like, is there even a guard on this door? And the grandfather's like, well, I've never checked. So Turlo goes, guard! And no one shows up, so they just break down the door and escape. Now, see if this was a 4-part serial, there would have just been a guard there. And
they would have knocked him out to waste like another minute.
Exactly. So they put like a dummy or a straw doll in place of Tegan, and the guy's like, here you go, Hutchinson, now you can burn someone and not actually kill someone. And Hutchinson's like, no.
Yeah, I get to burn someone. No.
He's like, no, it's not historically accurate. So he like gathers up the towns and they're like, let's go burn a witch, I guess.
Yeah. Then I don't even remember what happens.
The Doctor just tells them all that this is bad, and they're like, oh.
Yeah, the Malice is like standing behind Hutchinson, and he has like a gun trained on someone, or all of them, I guess.
Wait, you forgot the obvious time-extending scene where they go into the TARDIS and there's a psychic projection, and the Doc's like, hang on, let me just focus some technology and I'll boot the psychic projection out of the TARDIS. And they immediately leave the TARDIS.
Filler in a 2-part serial.
Turlo and Grandfather, I'm just going to call him Grandfather, knock
He's
out...
the first Doctor.
Now that would have also been a pretty cool twist.
Tegan is Susan's. Tegan is the doctor's daughter? What? Granddaughter, I mean?
Yeah, maybe she's Susan regenerated. Mind blown.
Well, she's better than Susan. It's true.
Well, the show didn't know what they were doing back then, so...
Do they know what they're doing now?
More than back then.
Anyway, yeah, it ends with this big quote-unquote showdown, and the doctor's like, no, don't let it feed on your negative energy.
And then Will just like, he's better if he's dead, and shoves him into the mouse, and it kills Hutchinson and blows up the mouse. Oh yeah, and someone gets decapitated. Off screen.
And yeah, then it kind of just ends.
Well, they all go into the TARDIS because the church is falling down. And then the doctor's like, all right, well, I better take you all back. And Tegan's like, I'd like to spend some time here with my grandfather. And Turtle's like, yeah, I'd like to relax for a while.
Oh, God, she's getting written out, isn't she? In the last 1 minute of this lackluster
No, because
serial,
then Turlo's like, yeah, I'd like to, like, chill for a while, too.
Yeah.
And then all the other 5 people in the TARDIS like, yeah, let's all just chill here for a while. And then the doctor's like, Will doesn't seem to be a psychic projection like I thought. I better take him back. I guess that was going to be their way to write him in as a companion, but he's not a companion, which
yeah, thank God.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, honestly, he would have been the next Adric had he been a companion. And yeah, we barely even mentioned Will. He was like he was this projection, or so they thought, but he was actually teleported from the 16th century. And yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so
I mean, yeah, that's actually pretty much that. I mean, I think this is
the final 2-part serial that's 25 minutes each part.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say this is one of the only serials where we actually wanted it to be longer, and
yeah.
There were probably more, but I couldn't think of any that we said like, yeah, this should be longer.
I think there was like one or two 4-parters that were like, this felt really rushed. Maybe they would have done well with like an extra part or two.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but this could have been at least a 3-part serial, probably even 4 parts.
Yeah.
And they could have fleshed out like all the characters a lot more. They could have fleshed out the like really cool plot synopsis they had there into a decent serial.
Yep.
But they didn't. I guess they were just like, well, this is the 2-part serial for the season, so sorry, George Pringle, you've got the 2-part serial.
Also, the Malice is kind of a lame villain.
Yeah.
I guess the real villain was Hutchinson. The Malice was sort of just like the driving force behind him.
Yeah, the Malice was controlling Hutchinson. Hutchinson was gonna kill everyone with some guns. Did they even have guns in the 16th century? Yeah, I guess they did.
Yeah, of course they did. They were really crappy guns, but yeah. Guns that only shoot like 2 feet. No, that's not true.
I mean, accurately, yeah, it is. They could shoot 2 feet accurately. Because they didn't have rifling back then. It was just a ball and a tube with some gunpowder.
Sounds good to me.
So apparently the serial was
bad.
I mean,
I honestly think this is the second worst Fifth Doctor serial, next to Warriors from the Deep. So we're 0 for 2 this season.
I'd say King's Demon is worse only because I found King's Demons even more boring than this. Like, this was boring, but it had a cool concept. King's Demons was just boring.
King's Demons had the Master.
But that wasn't even enough to save it.
I don't know.
And the Master's plan was just to, like, dick around with history. Like,
I don't know what's worse, this or King's Demons, but they're up there. They're both up there.
And apparently it's mildly infamous because when they were filming a scene with horses, like right at the beginning of episode 1, when the Dr. T and Tolo arrive, and there's a lich gate, apparently one of the horses destroys it, like accidentally, like run into it and destroys the lich gate. But like in the serial, they cut before that happens. But apparently the BBC used that outtake as like a safety video to tell people this is not how you film with animals.
Kind of like that movie where they supposedly killed a horse. Never-ending Story.
Wow. Well, This is
we wouldn't know.
I mean, this is a little bit off topic, but I was watching a random video the other day that was talking about buoyancy, and this guy like made a reference to Neverending Stories. Like, so calm down, Atreyu. Like, your horse would actually float in that swamp. But no, yeah.
It's the swamp of sadness. Sadness is dragging him down.
Wow. What a deep metaphor.
Deep. Like
what a deep swamp.
Well, he doesn't talk in the movie, so...
You know a cereal's bad if we're talking about everything except the cereal, so...
Yeah, and we're only like 25 minutes in.
Well, not even, because I'm going to cut that whole bit in the middle out. That whole bit in the middle where we just don't talk for like 3 minutes. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll never watch this again. I guess that's become how we end the episode. Like, are we going to watch this again or no?
Yeah, I guess. I do like the Fifth Doctor's getting a little bit more snarky in these past couple episodes, but it's not like Fourth Doctor snark. It's like when the really calm person in the room like snaps snark.
Nah, I don't know. It feels kind of like Tom Baker to me.
Yeah, but
actually, that's something I want to mention. Like near the end of this season, is like the Fifth Doctor kind of just felt like the Fourth Doctor all over again.
That's weird because I disagree. But I guess we'll talk about that in the retrospective. But I do like his snarky quips like, "You speak treason, Doctor." And it's like, yes, fluently. Anyway, that's enough about that nonsense. Email us at thedoctor@decadentvegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, your screenplay for a 4-episode version of The Awakening. I bet the novel's way better than the actual serial because the novel probably expands everyone's character. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play, all at Trust Your Doctor. Check out the website, decadentvegetable.com.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook, and also check us out on Twitter at TYT Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next week, we watch Frontios, or however you say it. But until then, the end.